Happy January 22nd. JLD here, and welcome to MicroStrategy Today. In this show, we have an editorial update from yesterday. We talk about Ross being free, what this means for Bitcoin and MicroStrategy. We have a MicroStrategy metrics update. We talk about the shares being authorized and what that means going forward. I have two video clips from Brian Armstrong about Bitcoin in general, and then an epic Michael Saylor clip about MicroStrategy's endgame. You're not going to want to miss it. Please comment below where you are watching from. We love that data. We collect that data. And remember, this video is my opinions only. It's not financial advice. And let's dive right on in. So that editorial correction. On yesterday's show, I went ahead and read Michael Saylor's tweet. The company of the 47th president of the United States just bought 47 million in Bitcoin. Well, that was true and not true, mostly not true, as a lot of people in the comments pointed out. So thank you for that. What the company actually did was purchase WBTC, not actual Bitcoin. So I went to ChatGPT just to give you the best possible description of what that means. So I just asked, what is the difference between Bitcoin and WBTC? Well, they're both forms of cryptocurrency, but they have distinct differences in terms of functionality, use cases, and technical aspects. Here's a breakdown. One, native blockchain. Bitcoin runs on the Bitcoin blockchain, the first ever blockchain created. BTC is the native currency of this blockchain, primarily used as a digital store of value and a medium of exchange. Wrapped Bitcoin, WBTC, operates on the Ethereum blockchain as an ERC-20 token. WBTC is a tokenized version of Bitcoin designed to be equivalent in value of BTC. One WBTC equals one BTC, created to bring Bitcoin's value into the Ethereum ecosystem. And I think a key word is designed to be equivalent. So at the end of the day, one Bitcoin is not one wrapped Bitcoin, and Bitcoin maximalists definitely know this. So Michael Saylor should have pointed this out. I should have pointed this out. It was a fail on both of our parts. I apologize. I'm not going to apologize on behalf of Michael Saylor, but I want to make that correction. So again, thank you to those in the comments who pointed that out. I read every comment. I make this show better as a result. So thank you, and keep commenting. I will keep reading. Let's move on over to Michael Saylor. Mara execs meet with Trump team, aligning with possible Bitcoin reserve. So both Michael Saylor and Mara execs are meeting with the Trump team to talk about this upcoming Bitcoin reserve. Is being reported. The words are out there on the media, and of course from all of us who are, very pro Bitcoin, very pro MicroStrategy. So exciting times are ahead, and got a little more exciting for a few reasons when we had breaking news that here's the first image of Ross Ulbricht leaving prison as a free man because Donald Trump pardoned him yesterday. It was a great thing to see. It was something that Donald Trump promised to do. He followed through on that promise. So it was the right thing to do for Ross, in my opinion. So I'm very grateful for that. But it's also exciting to those of us who are looking forward to the other promises that Donald Trump made that we now have a much higher expectation of him following through on, because he's proving that he is following through on his promises thus far when it comes to his cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, etc. mandates. So congratulations, Ross. I am very happy for you. I'm definitely glad to see you as a free man, and looking forward to see what the next few decades of your life look like. Hopefully it's in support of Bitcoin and everything about this great industry. So congratulations, my friend. And I really hope for all of the rest of us, this means that the Trump administration is going to continue to drive forward as a pro-Bitcoin administration, which it looks like. So what did Michael Saylor do yesterday? Well, he acquired 11,000 Bitcoin. This was last week, but he announced it yesterday, for $1.1 billion at $101,191 per Bitcoin, and has achieved a Bitcoin yield of 1.69% year to date. As of 1/2025, we hodl 461,000 Bitcoin, acquired for $23.9 billion at 63,610 per Bitcoin. Wow. What I love, number one, is that Michael Saylor did not buy the top this time, 101,000, where Bitcoin's right now it's somewhere around 105,000. So congratulations on that. And thank you for continuing to increase our Bitcoin yield. We're already closing in on 2%. Remember, his company's goal is 6 to 10% per year. Obviously, he's under promising and over delivering to the benefit of you and myself, shareholders. And then, as Chris shows in this graphic here, Saylor has now bought Bitcoin for 11 consecutive weeks and is now 46.1% of the way to one Nakamoto, which is 1 million Bitcoin. And here's a little graph right here on our road to Nakamoto. Are we going to get there in 2025? I think it's going to be closer than most people think. We'll see. Ben Workman posts a great share on MSTR Bitcoin per share metrics for Q1 2025. Back on the Bitcoin bid with another 11,000 Bitcoin purchased this time. While we haven't yet seen the fixed income offerings, which will be the most impactful to the metrics, MSTR has increased their core KPI by 1.69%, and it requires 10.5 less shares to have an allocation to the value of one Bitcoin. As of the announcement today, there are 5.42 billion left on the ATM/equity side of the 2121 plan and 18 billion left on the fixed income side of the plan, which you and I both know is something he's going to start hitting hard this month, maybe next month at the latest. MSTR is quickly getting things moving and the best is yet to come. Here are the current metrics, and he lists them out here. Lots to look forward to this year. Q4 set a huge bar for metric improvements, but it looks like we have a lot coming our way in Q1. So we will be anything but bored. And I'll just zoom in on this graph here. And as you can see, we have a lot of things that were happening in a good direction, but then Q4 said, ba-boom, let's get going. Bitcoin Overflow shares all set. With the authorized share increase, MSTR has enough runway for the next 4 years of stock splits in Bitcoin fundraising. Now, this was in response to Bitcoin News sharing that MicroStrategy shareholders approved increasing the total number of shares from 330 million to 10.3 billion, paving the way for future fundraising to acquire more Bitcoin. And this was at a 55.8% approval. I was definitely in that approval percentage, so I'm glad that I gave my shares to that approval for sure. And then again, as Bitcoin Overflow shared, with the authorized share increase, MSTR has enough runway for the next 4 years of stock splits in Bitcoin fundraising. We have an amazing 4 years ahead of us. I'm personally excited about it. And I wanted to share this from Jesse as well. He said, some people are misunderstanding the 55% vote in favor of MSTR increasing the authorized shares. This figure does not mean that 45% voted against the measure. The figure reflects that 55% of all shares that could have voted on the measure voted for it, but I'm sure that many shareholders did not vote, and there were many broker abstentions. I would not be surprised if 90% of the shares that actually voted for the measure. Will know when MSTR files its 8K. So basically what he's sharing here is that he believes, as I do as well, that of the actual votes that were cast, more than 90% of people voted for the share authorization increase. Because to those of us that know and would vote, it's an absolute no-brainer. Moving along to Jeff, Punter Jeff says, as of January 21st, 2025 at 2 p.m. Eastern, MSTR assets held on the balance sheet were 49.3 billion. The debt held on the balance sheet was 7.5 billion. This is a leverage ratio of 15.3%. We are way below the 25 to 30% that Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy have said that they are comfortable with. So what does this mean? Higher. Things are coming, fireworks in Q1 for sure. This BitStrategy post was too good not to share. I loved it. The 4 factors of production are land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. It is the combination of these inputs which create goods and services. Think of a goldsmith. He uses his labor to craft the raw gold into precious jewelry and then uses his entrepreneurship to sell the jewelry at the market. In his hands, the already valuable gold can be sold at a premium. MicroStrategy represents the combination of digital capital, labor, and entrepreneurship. By combing the raw value of Bitcoin with Michael Saylor's 30 plus years of entrepreneurship experience and the labor of his talented team, MicroStrategy has pioneered Bitcoin-backed securities. Michael J. Saylor is a digital goldsmith. Ugh. That just kind of gives me chills because I think that's such a great explanation from BitStrategy of exactly what Michael Saylor is doing. This last post I wanted to share is from MicroStrategist. Over the holidays, I met some old friends I only see once a year. Since they know I invest, they asked me what assets they should have in their portfolios, and naturally, I mentioned Bitcoin and MSTR. I explained the power law, how its growth mirrors that of other complex networks like cities or the internet, and the beauty of scale and variance. I showed the log chart of Bitcoin USD, which blew my mind when I first saw it. The reply, well, Bernie Madoff also showed charts that only went up and to the right too. I wonder if this is why the Bitcoin power law is not mainstream knowledge yet. Does it seem too good to be true? I just buy Bitcoin, wait, and then I'm wealthy forever. We're so used to difficult problems having difficult, complex solutions. We can't see the simple solutions. Simple looks like overpromising, a scam. This is called complexity bias or solution aversion. It's a blind spot we probably all share in some area of our lives. Weight gain, eating less and moving more versus complex diets, buying expensive supplements, etc. Sleep, going to bed earlier, turning off the lights versus sleep trackers, expensive mattresses, etc. Home organization, just getting rid of stuff versus buying storage units, boxes, etc. Many people make their living convincing you that you need complexity. Couple that with our consumerist culture where you need to buy stuff to keep up with everyone else. Studying and understanding Bitcoin is a way to help figure out what is truly important in your life. Bitcoin makes you realize what other things in your life are truly scarce: your family, your time, your energy. That's how Bitcoin makes you wealthy in more ways than one. Love that. Thank you for sharing. And now we have two great videos from Brian Armstrong, an incredible one from Michael Saylor. So take it away.
But I think it's clear at this point that Bitcoin is a better form of money than gold. It is provably scarce, just like gold, but it's more portable and divisible. So you can actually use it. Has higher utility, I would say, and it was the best performing asset of the last 10 years. And so for store of value, I think it's going to be important for governments to hold this over time. It might start with being 1% of their reserves, but I think over time it'll come to be equal to or greater than gold reserves.
But we have seen just incredible growth, and I think it hit an all-time high yesterday. So we feel very good about that. But I think over time we'll see Bitcoin get into the millions, multiple millions price range. I mean, it's being adopted by more and more institutional customers. The ETFs brought in a huge amount of inflow. If we get clear legislation passed in the U.S., that would be a big milestone. A strategic Bitcoin reserve. If the U.S. took that path, probably the rest of the G20 would follow. In fact, I've discussed with a number of finance ministers here in Switzerland from different countries around the world, just the idea of a strategic Bitcoin reserve. They're getting more interested in it now because the US is looking into it. So I think Bitcoin has a long way to go. It's going to be the new gold standard out there.
The baseline is Bitcoin is raw commodity. You either buy that on Coinbase, or Bitcoin is wrapped. You buy IBIT from BlackRock. That's the baseline. But it turns out most of the world doesn't want that. I mean, a lot of the world wants high voltage. They want 10x leverage. Susquehanna wants 10x leverage. Millennium, Soros, they want to be up there in the stratosphere. And then some people want, the MSTX, MSTU, those two ETFs raised $4 billion in a matter of weeks, no marketing. They want 4x, 3x Bitcoin. MicroStrategy is 1.5 to 2x Bitcoin. So some people want to be up there above the baseline. Look, if you believe in Bitcoin and someone can give you 2x Bitcoin and they can do it with intelligent leverage or with a balance sheet you trust, why wouldn't you want 2 times whatever you wanted, right? And then there's another world of crypto curious people. They're just tired and bored. How do you feel about a portfolio of 187 diversified preferred stocks that give you 520 basis points? And it's like, okay, you own the 16th tranche of the 18,000th regional bank, and it's like QSIP 199742. There's no volatility. You can't pledge it as collateral. You can't borrow against it. So there's a world, $300 trillion of board money that's waiting to die, getting 2-3%. And then there's another 200 trillion of hot money. MicroStrategy is just going to sell all of those instruments up and down the chain while we ignore the baseline. And I'll just make this one point. Like when you're when you're arbitraging this, you're asking the question, well, how fast is it appreciating? So Bitcoin is plus 60. And let's just say because it's plus 30 to 60 versus the US dollar. And my long-term forecast is 29% for 21 years. So we're plus 30 to 60. Then the next question is how volatile is it versus the dollar? Bitcoin's 60 volatile, but you can imagine it's going to be plus 30 to 60 more volatile. Then you ask the question, how fast is the investment cycle? If I borrow a billion or raise a billion of equity and I invest it in a real estate project, it takes 5 years, 1,500 days. If I invest it in Bitcoin, it takes 1 day. I'm running the investment cycle 1,000 times faster. And then the last question is, how accretive is the capital raise? So if I'm selling it at 3 times net asset value, you're capturing a 66% spread. The convertible bonds are capturing an 80% spread. When you sell a convert at an 80% spread and you do $1 billion of it, it literally means that you captured 80%, $800 million of capital gain on the day you did it. And you capture all of the capital gain for your shareholders forever on the 800 million. And so when you're raising 800 million and then you're investing it at 60% ARR or 30%, right? The amount of accretion is screaming. So what are we going to do? Well, we're going to do this $42 billion and then rinse and repeat and double it and double it and double it and double it. And you're going to say like, well, where does it end? Well, I guess when we've taken 1% of the fixed income market, which is $3 trillion, and when we levered it up and we've got 10 billion, we bought 3 trillion of Bitcoin and we're trading at $10 trillion in market cap, we'll be growing 20% a year.
Well, there you have it. Another episode of MicroStrategy Today. Remember, this is not financial advice. And here is my receipt from my $210 DCA into MicroStrategy at $372. It's been a great DCA thus far, as I shared in the last video, up over 17%. We'll see what the rest of the year brings, but looking forward to continuing to deliver these videos to you on a daily basis. So if you're getting value, please share these videos with people that you know should be watching this. Subscribe and make sure to comment below where you're watching from. And anything else you want to give feedback-wise. As you saw at the beginning of this episode, I take the feedback in a very positive manner because I want to make this show better. And your comments help me do just that. Because just like MicroStrategy, when it comes to a daily MicroStrategy Today show, there is no second best.
What's the second best? There is no second best.